Hello and welcome to the Womanhood Podcast. And
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Breaking Free podcast.
so this is Nathan and I'm Shannon. We're joining our podcast channels to collaborate, and we're here to talk about relationships specifically. And Nathan and I haven't actually connected in a while, so I'm really excited to just learn everything about what's happening in the relationship realm for you. I'm really keen to jump into that. And I think it's going to be a beautiful contrast too, because for those of you who don't know me, who don't know my channel, I've been in a relationship for 7 years. Nathan's been in his for,
Oh, 6 months, I reckon, just.
yep, which sounds like early days, but a lot's happened. So I'm
Yeah,
really
what's
keen
going
to
on?
get into it. Let's start with, I guess, where we picked up in our last conversation, because I don't even think you were dating the person you're with right now. You were still
Mm-mm.
in the dating realm
Space.
space. So
Yes.
let's start from there. How did you get from there to now?
If you want to listen to our last conversation, I'm sure that'll be in the show notes
Yeah.
because that was a really good conversation. And you're in Europe at that
Yep.
time too. I
Yep.
remember we were recording it at God knows what time of the night that was for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, if you want to listen to that one, that was a really awesome chat. So, Shannon was on my platform and she shared a lot about her story and the work she does. And yeah, we went on some interesting tangents actually, didn't we? So,
We
over
did.
the hour and 20 minutes, whatever it was. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
you'll listen to that one, jump in the show notes. Anyway, yeah, so since then, it's been a whirlwind sort of, I reckon, 12 months.
Yeah.
And you've now since moved to my area. We need to catch up in person as well. But yeah, been a
Yeah.
whirlwind 12 months for me anyway. It started when I went back to my hometown for Christmas and New Year period. I went back for 3 weeks, probably the longest time I'd gone back for since moving up here to the coast, sunny coast
Mm.
Australia. And yeah, I just was like, right, well, I feel like I'd been in this place before. If I can circle back a few years, I was told by some healers and psychics and different things about the woman that I was going to meet, and they didn't give me a timeline, which I thought was great because I think spirit or whatever you want to call it, God, Jesus, whatever you guys believe, I'm more of a spirit guy. That's just me because I believe in that realm. Anyway, I believe that spirit was like, don't give Nathan a timeline, otherwise he'll attach to that timeline and he'll like lose his shit if he doesn't sort of meet
Mhm.
that timeline. So I wasn't told a timeline. So I was like, oh well, I jumped off the table with my good friend Gina. I was like, well, I'm ready to go now. Where is she? And hadn't really taken a step on the journey at all by that stage. And she said, oh, you got a lot of work to do on yourself. And I'm like, what even is that? What does that even entail? What does that mean? What does that look like? She's like, just work on yourself. I'm like, well, fuck, I don't know what to do. So step by step, you start the breath work and you start the meditation, you start understanding who you are, what you do, why you do them, and just go on that inquisitive journey of asking questions. Then I did Jason Christoph's self-sabotage
Mm.
coaching school, which then was allowed me to sort of understand how the subconscious works, how I can rewire it. And that was deep into my journey by that stage. And then, yeah, you start the book, the podcast, and I just learned along the way. Started going to the gym 3, 4 years ago, still going now, have a bit more muscle on myself. So those things is what she was talking about 4 years ago. But I hadn't gone on the journey. I'm still on the journey now. But yeah, so then if I can circle back to then to December of last year and I was back in my hometown for 3 weeks, I went, well, I've said to myself that I'm ready over those 3 years. Like I felt like I was ready, but I think it was more of an ego thing back
Mhm.
then, being like, oh well, the ego says you're ready, but then I was met with more lessons and challenges being back in the dating space. But I did a manifestation sort of write down of what I was looking for, how I would make her feel, how she'd make me feel, how it would look as in safety and I went really deep into that. And I wrote all those things down as like a New Year's sort of ritual. And I just went outside and mum and dad had the fire on, so I just burnt it. And it was like two pieces of paper and it was everything that I sort of wanted. I just put it out to the universe and said, "Well, I'm ready now." And it was like and I wrote a letter to myself. I went back through my old documents on my computer and found that I'd done that manifestation thing before. So I compared them and went, "Oh, I've actually gone deeper this time." I wrote a letter to her. Actually, it was interesting. I actually read that letter to her only the other day. I found a letter on my laptop that I'd written to her and all these cool things. I was like, "All right, well maybe if I just burn all that, it might just like the energy of it might actually work." I was like, oh well, if it works, it works. So yeah, got back from the trip. I wasn't really on Hinge or any of those dating. Like I was on them, but like for those 3, 4 weeks, I was like, I'll just you know turn the notifications off and just go pretty much ghost mode for a few weeks. And then I was pondering things on the flight home, going, oh, I might actually just delete these things now. And if it happens, it happens. I could be on the beach somewhere or having lunch somewhere and someone catches my eye. I was just like, well, maybe that will happen. So, but then as I got back, I got this real pull. I was like, no, I need to get, like, there was this for me, I get connection through spirit and that realm through my ears, and I had this like proper like download of you need to get Hinge back. And I'm like, the fuck, I don't need the dating app. But so I got it back, made my profile active again, and yeah, came across this woman, and I was like, oh, she's pretty cool. I'd send her a like and a little message being like, oh, I really like that photo. I don't know what I said, and then what Gina said to me 4 years ago, Britt said in the very first message. Gina said to me 4 years ago that she has seen you before and you haven't seen her. And then the first message she sends me back, she goes, I recognize you, I've seen you before. And I went, oh, this is a bit weird. But this is cool. Because I knew that Gina had said that to me before. And then we sort of delved into our sort of past. And turns out we went to the exact same university in Bendigo. And she saw me in lectures and classes and stuff, and I never saw her. And then Gina also said on that table in 2022, this is a doozy, she lived in Strathfield, say, which was where I was from in Bendigo. Turns out she lived in Strathfield, say, for about 12 months, and I only was about a block away from my old home, family home. We never saw each other until February 1st on Mooloolaba Beach.
Wow.
So like all those nuggets that I got from Gina, the psychic, kinesiologist, energy healer, all came true 4 years later. But I had to go on that journey. And those breadcrumbs, like there's so many more, but they're the two that like stick out because she's seen you before. And as soon as Britt sent me that first message of, oh, you look familiar, I've seen you before, I was like, oh God, this might be it.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, and I feel like universe hands you those nuggets that really stand out, so it's made obvious as well.
Mm,
Especially when you're on that self-discovery journey and there's still that bit of uncertainty of like, is this the right one or not?
yeah.
It's almost like universe, spirit, as you say, whatever you want to call it, hands you the nuggets that make you feel more like have more faith in like, oh, that's the conviction that this is the one, you know?
Yeah. And
It's
I could
really cool.
feel it. I was always told as well, like you'll know and you'll just feel it. And in that moment I was like, oh God, I feel it now.
That's so cute.
Yeah,
I
it's pretty
love that.
cool. But yeah, so since then it's been a pretty awesome journey. But I often sometimes like you get in your head a bit. Like a month or two in, I was like, oh, is it's like nah, like it was like a soul connection. Like I knew her before, and we've done a couple of like energy healing regressions and quantum healings, and we've delved into the past life connection. There's definitely a bit going on in that
Hmm.
space many, many moons ago, and it's cool to be like, oh, we've actually know each other before. Because when we
Hmm.
sort of caught up, I was like, oh, this just felt so easy. It was like the best first date you could ever possibly have.
Feels
But
familiar.
yeah, it just felt
Yeah.
familiar and felt right. So yeah, that was really cool that you had the sort of soul connection as well in amongst the physical. And yeah, it was really cool sort of dance we were going on there for a bit. Well, we're still going on the dance now, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's pretty cool.
But initially, that initial, when you technically don't know each other, to feel like you already know each other, that's like that
Yeah.
initial dance. Yeah.
Yeah. You could say that, these things, you talk about the dating apps and talk about all the stuff, but it's like I was only saying this last night too, if you have the right intention, doesn't matter what it is, if you have the right intention, you're going to get what you want eventually. And if it comes as a dating app or something modern, well then if the intention's right and your heart's centered and you know what you want, then there's really nothing stopping you from getting that.
Yeah.
I don't think anyway, personally.
I feel like that's a good message for the listeners too. And probably 5 years ago, had you have said that, people wouldn't have accepted that, or maybe it would have activated them a little. But now people are more and more comfortable, less shameful about meeting people on apps that were otherwise previously had the reputation to just fuck around. You know
Yeah,
what I
which
mean?
is basically Tinder.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I did that with Tinder many moons ago,
Yeah.
but I didn't feel like I needed that one. I
Yeah.
was told Hinge, and I was like, all
Yeah.
right, let's get that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't even know the dating apps now because it's been too long for
yeah.
me.
I was around at I was around at one of my partner's work colleagues' houses, and she was talking about the dating apps and stuff, and then she was reeling off ones that I'd never heard before. I'm like,
Yeah.
where? Oh, I don't know what goes on there.
That's how you know you haven't been deep in the dating scene or you haven't been in the dating scene for a long
Yeah,
time. Yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah.
it's a
Wow.
wild space.
It's a very cool journey so far. So fast forward from that meeting her and that journey, what's happened since then? Like, where are you now? Because that was started. Wait, when did you meet? Start of the year?
February, start of
February. Yeah.
February. Yeah, yeah. So
And
now,
yeah.
where am I now? Well, I'm in Coolum now, so we've moved in together, and yeah, it's been a wild ride, but I know it's like the ride for me. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like I know I'm supposed to be where I'm supposed to be, and yeah, we've landed where we've landed, and yeah, it's been a hectic few months. I've never been so busy in my life. Like I used to live a very quiet life and be very routine and militant in the way I would sort of to have my mornings and my afternoons and then meeting someone, and it's all sort of just been thrown out the window, and you just got to go with it, and
Yeah.
yeah, so for me, it's been a hard lesson of, well, actually, you can't be so militant in your routines and structures because you got someone else with you now. So for me, it's like, yeah, wild.
Is this the first time living with someone as well?
Yeah, it is. Living with
Same.
someone that's actually like a partner of mine,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, same. Like my current partner was the first partner I'd ever moved in with as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was only like you guys moved in pretty quickly. I think for us, it was only 3 months in when he asked me to move in with him. But it was kind of cute because he was like already 3 months in. And there's a story as to how we met. So he'd already known me for quite a while before that. And he knew me
Ah.
well. And when he asked me 3 months in, he's like, I'm asking you now, even though it's in 6 months, I'm asking you now because I know you need the time to process this. And I was like shell shocked. I was like, this is huge.
That's
Like,
cool, yeah.
oh my God. I'm like, but how nice is that he knew I needed that time?
So you're from the both from the same hometown or same area, or
No,
how did he
but
know you
we are
for?
connections. We didn't meet on dating apps. We were connected through best friends, and it's a really interesting story too.
Go on then.
So I met one of my current best friends I was 20. So in 2013, 2014. Yeah, 2013 at massage school. This was like the start of my career as well.
Yeah,
And
right.
my best friendships have blossomed from massage school. And it was like a Cert 4 Endeavour College, like just the beginnings. And
Mm,
I met my two best friends who are currently two of my best friends now. That first day, like I met one of them in the elevator.
that's cool.
And we'd been really good friends. We graduated 3 months later, didn't talk for a year, and then started reconnecting and became really, really close. That's where the friendship really became like best friends at that point. And at that point, we were all single. And then a couple years later, my friend started dating a guy called, well, I won't say, but started dating a guy. And I was like, oh, how'd you meet him? And she said, oh, I met him through one of my friends, Elliot. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. And then 4 years into them dating, fast forward, my friend and I are still really good friends. I'm going through my fuck girl era.
Oi,
I was
we've all
like,
been
I'm
there.
not ready to date, so I'm just gonna play around.
Yeah,
And
as
my
you do.
best friend was like trying to coach me through self-awareness and also teaching me how to love, but not only that, love
Oh,
myself.
nice.
And she was teaching me all these little spiritual things. This was like the start of my spiritual path too. Oracle cards, how to read like card decks and things like that, and like as a way to check in with yourself and
Mm.
to love yourself. And so she's teaching me all that. And then I just kept hearing this name, Elliot, 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 the guy who connected her with her partner. And I'm sitting there, that's really interesting. And like whenever we'd have friend group events and the friends would rock up, he'd never rock up. He just was never there. And I
Huh.
kept hearing like, oh yeah, he's not here because he's been out partying, he's a fuck boy, like he's blah blah blah. And I'm like, oh yeah, well don't want that. Like by that stage, I was kind of interested and thought I was ready, like what you said, thought I was ready. Then I went on a personal development course. Actually, no, then I finally met Elliot. He rocked up one day. And by this stage, everyone in my best friend's friend group, the guys were really interested in me because I was the only single friend in that group.
Ah,
And
there
so
you
all the
go.
single guys were like jumping on me. And then he finally rocked up one day and I looked at him and go, man, he's familiar. Like he feels familiar and he feels really, there's something about him. He's not at all what I'd go for aesthetically, but there's something about him. But I was still pretty shut off at that point. So I was like, oh yeah, whatever. Anyway, turns out that day, I didn't know until we were dating, but turns out that day, he walked up to the other guy that was madly in love with me in that friend group and said to him, I'm giving you 6 months out of respect, but then I'm going for it. And he's like, she's going to be my girlfriend. He actually said that to my best friend's partner who is his best friend.
Jeepers.
He's like, oh, so what's the go with Shannon? Like, is she single that day? And he goes, oh, yeah, she's single, but this bro has his eyes on her, so you can't touch that yet. Like, it's a bro code thing. And then Elliot goes, my partner goes, oh, but she's going to be my girlfriend. Like, he was certain on the first day. So he walked up to this other guy who'd like tagged me and has gone, I'm giving you 6 months. And if you still haven't done anything, like, it's fair shot. Like, I'm going to give it a go. Fast forward to a year later, we were friends for a year. I went to personal development course where I finally realized I liked him. Like, I was so shut off that I was like, oh, that's why I felt comfortable with him. And then finally we started dating. But the funniest part is my best friend met Elliot at a bar when she was 19, a year before I met her. And then because Elliot and my best friend met, they actually brought their two partners together.
That's cool.
So if you think about it, my best friend met Elliot and she met the love of her life through Elliot. It's his best friend.
Wow, wait.
And then I met the love of my life through Sophia because it was her partner's best friend. So like it was actually best friends coming together and helping each other find each other's partners. So that was pretty trippy.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's funny how that, you call it divine, universe, spirit, whatever. Funny how that works and brings people together.
Yeah. And then I had the same thing, like everything you said about the divine timing and how you wrote a letter, you wrote all these things. When I did the self-development course, they had me start, they didn't have me start, they suggested doing it. And I started writing like a list of things I want in a partner. And they're like, it could be a list of 20 things all the way up to hundreds of things. And then they're like, but you will know, you will hit that last number, you'll put your pen down and you'll just know when it's done because you'll know who it is. I think I got to like 40 something, maybe 48, number 48 on my book. And I just put my pen in. I'm like, oh my God, it's Elliot. And I'm like, holy crap. And it just all spiraled. And then I started realizing that there was a psychic I met on the personal development course who was coaching me after the course. And she was like, yeah, you're going to meet a guy and he's either from America or he goes to America a lot. And I was like, what? I don't even like America. I've never been to America. Anyway, turns out after I started dating him, he was going to America every 2 years. And like he's gone to America just now. Like he loves America.
You just tell me off air.
We went to America when we were overseas as well. So like all these synchronicities, just like what you explained, happen as well. And I feel like if they didn't, I wouldn't have trusted the process as much. Yeah.
Yeah. Just on that too, like it took me 4 years to have those nuggets come to fruition. They're always in the back of my mind. But a lot of people will go see psychics and different things and they'll get information and they'll get nuggets like that and they don't come to fruition. And then they blame the psychic and say it's the psychic's fault. When in actual fact, it's like, well, what action have you taken? Like Gina said to me, you got to work on yourself. So she was almost saying, Nath, if you want to meet that woman, you're going to have to work on yourself, right? Yeah. So it's like the action of that. I didn't know what that looked like. Took me 3.5 years to figure it out, but I figured it out. But it's like, if I hadn't have done that, I'd probably still be looking around going, oh, where are you? It's like, well, what action have you taken? And those psychics see a particular timeline, given your energy, frequency, and vibration at that particular time. Now, you've got free will. You can change that at any moment. So it's like they're seeing one path of like multiple paths that you can take. It's not really the psychic's fault. It's either you've changed your path or your timeline, or you've just sat on your hands and haven't actioned anything that they've said that they can see for you. It's almost like if you action that thing, they've seen what that looks like beyond the action. You know what I mean? So it's not necessarily the psychic's fault.
No, it's just showing the potential. Yeah.
Correct. And I'll never forget that. You got to work on yourself, Nath. I'm like, well, what the fuck is that?
Yeah, and it's so funny too, and that's such a natural response because when you actually think about it, working on yourself is so introspective and subjective. So like no one else can answer that for us.
No.
So it's like normal to ask that, like where do I start? Like what the fuck is that? How do we begin? And really it's just like, I think we said this at the end of the last time we were on the podcast and you interviewed me because you were like, Shannon, where do people begin with somatic work? And I was like,
that's right.
Just start, just try things, see what stick. And that's really all you can do. And like, you'll often find yourself the more and more you do it, like you'll trust that instinct and intuition of like leaning towards things more.
Yeah.
As well. But like for people who don't even know where to begin, just start somewhere, try things, see what you enjoy.
Yeah. Or like if you don't know,
breath work, right?
Yeah, breath work, meditation, and even just something as simple as stretching helped me.
Yeah.
Just with flexibility, yoga and that, and then as you start even just you could just start journaling as well. Like I started just like writing things down, like my
Mm-hmm.
feelings and thoughts and that as well. And then I ended
Yeah.
up writing a book about it all. But what you can do is you'll then through that first thing you do, you'll go, oh, then you'll pick up something else, and then you'll meet someone, you'll hear a conversation, then you'll do something else, something else, something else, and then bing bang boom, 6 months goes by, and you're already a different version of yourself compared to the one when you just started because you've picked up all these things along the way through podcasts and yeah, it's a pretty wild journey as you keep going. Like you'll just pick up other little nuggets or little habits or little things that you can do that can really help. And as long as you find what sticks, like for me,
Yeah.
writing things down, journaling helps me, breath work, meditation,
Yeah.
even just going for a walk in nature. If you can't lay down and lay still and meditate, then just take your earphones or your earbuds, all that shit out of your ears and just go for a walk in nature and listen to the birds and the trees.
Yeah.
Like that's meditative.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't always have to look like what one person's shown you. And I think that's what can be overwhelming is like, we'll take yoga, for example. If someone goes to a yoga class for the first time ever and they're looking at how the yoga instructor looks in a certain pose, they're going to base their self and that as what they need to get to right away. It's like a normal
Yeah.
thing. It's like monkey see, monkey do. Okay, they're doing that. I need to do that, but how do I do that? Right?
Hmm.
So it's like it doesn't always have to look and feel exactly the same as what you're being shown. Sometimes it's more just there to open the door for you to self explore. And that's a lot of what somatic work is. Like somatics can be anything as long as it's an introspective, inner felt journey.
Yeah, and it's going with the feeling too. You're
Yeah.
right. Like go with the feeling, and
Yeah.
and you sort of leave that comparison of yourself to others at the door, and just go, well, you know what? They're teaching this, so they're obviously going to be better than me. But who's to say you can't teach that in 3 years' time? If that's where you want to go and what you want
Exactly.
to do.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
I want to circle into now because we mentioned this just before we started this. You were talking about the challenges that have come up since. So what I find
Ooh.
interesting is like we can word it any way, but you were talking about how, you had to go on this self-development journey and you couldn't have not done that before finding her. And then it all kind of just fell into place at the right timing. You to trust the timing. And also what your psychic said, just go work on yourself and there's no timeline, it'll just happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
I also see that, like you can put any spin on it, but I also see that as like your soul evolution, its frequency evolving over time and expanding and growing over time.
Mm-hmm.
And like you wouldn't have been able to attract who you're with right now beforehand when you thought you were ready, before you'd done the work, because your frequency and vibration was at a different level. Your awareness was
Correct.
at a different level. So here you are now having gotten into the relationship. What's unfolded since then? And how's
Oh,
your frequency changed?
wow, it's a good question
Yeah.
because I felt from about like in June of last year to about the end of the year, I felt like I had done. This is going to sound. I don't care how this sounds. You can take it any way you want. I thought that I had done enough work on myself that when I meet that person, I was going to be sweet. Because I went in with it, I'll be like, nah, this whole triggering thing, like I've
That's
worked
cute.
on those all myself. Yeah, 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 yeah. And then about a month in, I just got the old turkey slap from the universe straight in the face. I was like, Nath, you've got like, it's like, I thought that I had delved deep into the shadow and deep into the feminine wound that I had. Just on my own, I did that. But then when you meet someone, like,
Oh no, you're paused. I don't know if you can hear me, but you're paused right in the juicy part.
you hear me?
Okay, where were we at? You're back now, but you
Good. So are
paused.
you.
Yeah, well, we paused. Yeah.
Yeah, so for me, I didn't know how much deeper I had to go into the feminine wound, how much deeper I had to go into more of my shadow, because I thought that I had done enough.
Yeah.
And yes, it's like an onion, but I've heard people say it so many times. There's like layers and layers and layers. I'm like,
Mm.
yeah, well, there can't be many more layers for me. Like, come on, I've done so much. And then you meet that person, and then you spend a month or two together, and you're like, oh fuck, there's actually like those things were coming up that I thought that I had like worked on. And it's
Hmm.
like, Nath, you got to go a bit deeper again, brother. I'm like, oh, it's like, yeah, like she'd say something or we'd like do something, and it'd just be like that. Like, I just get that feeling like that. I'm like, oh, God.
Resistance.
And I know
Yeah.
where it comes from each time, but yeah,
I think it's
definitely.
almost like worse having the self-awareness because then you have to meet not only the awareness of what's there, then you have to meet like the shame or resistance or the barrier that's there that's telling you, oh, not this again. Here we are again. Like all those barriers that actually
Yeah.
stop you from just working through it.
Mm.
Like, because if you put shame out of the way, if you put the frustration of being back there again out of the way, you would actually move through it deeper, like that deeper layer, a
Yeah,
lot
lots
faster.
of
So it's almost worse being aware of it.
yeah, lots of my like inner child was coming up again. Lots
Yeah.
of versions of little Nathan that just needed to be held and loved. And yeah, it was interesting because I found myself sometimes being reactive. I'm like, I haven't been reactive for like 3 years.
Hmm.
What the hell is this? And I was like reacting, going, thinking, what the fuck is going on with me? I'm making like silly comments and different things. I'm like, oh man, that's just that little boy that just needs to be
Yeah.
held and being like, mate, it's okay. Like, yeah, put up a lot of stuff. I'm like, this is cool, but like it's nice being in a conscious relationship where she understands that it's not actually me. It's like a version of
Yeah.
me from like 20 years ago that's
Yeah.
like rearing up, being like, I need love now and all this stuff. And it's just,
Hmm.
yeah, been a cool little ride. But as I was saying to her the other day, I'm like, I don't know how like everyday people that aren't conscious and aware
Yeah.
of their emotions and
Yeah.
stuff, how they actually coexist. Because Britt and I just like talk about our feelings, talk about our emotions, and have that understanding of each other where it's like I'm feeling a certain way, she's feeling a certain way, but we understand and we're able to like show each other that, give each other what we need in those moments. I may not be able to express it very well, but I'm getting better at it. But that came up too. It's like I don't know how normal. Well, I don't know if they're normal, but I don't know how everyday people that aren't
Yeah.
conscious in a relationship do this stuff.
I know. Yeah, and I mean, I still have those moments. That's the thing. Like, you're gonna go through, and when I say you, I don't mean you specifically, but we will go through as self-aware people in relationships, like fast track to 7 years later, where you are now, 7 years later, you'll still have reactive moments, emotionally reactive moments. What I've come to experience is like everything you just said, I experienced that too. It was like our 1.5, 2 year itch. So you just fast tracked it for your relationship.
Mm.
Different timelines, but we were like 1.5, 2 years in, and it was COVID, all the lockdowns. We were forced to be in each other's space constantly in an apartment together, and felt like we couldn't leave at first because it was like World War II outside, the way they made you feel about it. And we were stuck in a room together and we were forced like to buck heads. Like our inner child were forced to buck heads. And you fast forward that to now and it'll still come out, but
Mm.
it's not as harsh, and we're both familiar, and it's almost like we're the adult versions of ourselves sitting back or sitting above and like watching our inner children play out, and then afterwards we kind of just like laugh about it, like, oh, that's that little kid coming out again. Like, you come back together, back to awareness, back to love a lot faster each time. So I think it's not really about ridding the reaction or putting pressure to rid it, because sometimes we put pressure, it
That's true.
stays a lot longer. It's not really about putting the pressure to move through it, but just loving each other anyway, and knowing and trusting that self-awareness that you each have and the unconditional love that you have for one another, it will always be there. And that's
That's true.
that's really what I've come to find 7 years down the track is what matters. Is like, obviously there's a limit to conditional love, because you don't want to have to unconditional love, because you don't want to have it so unconditional that you get trotted over and mistreated or abused, whether it's mentally, physically, whatever. But you do want unconditional love in the sense of, I see your soul, I see beyond the reaction, you know?
Mm.
And so for you to have found someone and to have gone through that so early on is really beautiful as well. Like,
Yeah.
what, 6 months in, and you've already
Yeah.
had your inner child come in,
Yeah, a
rearing up.
few times. I get triggered sometimes. So,
Yeah,
I still
and we all
get
do.
triggered. Even though I've done work, I still get triggered. And I think it's going to be a forever thing.
Yeah,
But I'm getting better at managing them. And
yeah,
yeah, we often laugh about some of the shit I say when I'm triggered too. So that's always good. Make a bit of a joke about it a bit.
yeah. My one, I'll just share like a bit of a vulnerable aspect. So my shadow inner child is like, it stems from father wound, but the story that comes up, and the story that my childhood brain tries to analyze and check, is the being cheated on story.
Ooh,
Yeah. And so, like, there's just funny little things I'll do. I don't even check phones anymore, but in that first to second year, I'd check his phone. And
interesting.
so we worked through that. There was never anything on his phone anyway, but like, it was that pattern that I had from previous relationship when a guy, I thought he was playing up on me, and he was. But that was one, your brain with trauma, it goes to look for a bunch of different evidence. And so that was my old version of myself, my teenhood version of myself, going down to the father line, who was scared of being emotionally abandoned because of previous relationship before that, and the previous
Mm,
father relationship before that. I'd scan for the evidence, and that was one of them, was like checking the phone and like doing all this stuff. And because he's a self-aware guy, the guy I'm with, Elliot, he's like, what are you doing? Like, he's like, you can check my phone, but why? You know? And that just made me feel more comfortable, like, oh, I can trust him. Why am I looking for evidence? And like, I don't do that anymore, but there's just like funny little things. So this just shows how human we are. He went away for 6 weeks and I didn't do anything, but I had the thought, the monkey brain in a child looking for evidence thought of like, oh, I should check those pills. They're like natural herbs. I should check those pills in the cupboard there, because if he took them to LA, he's going to be using them to sleep with other women. And I was like, caught myself. I was like, what was that? Like, what was that? I didn't even check the cupboard, but I'm like, did you just hear yourself? Like 7 years in? And that's still going on. And so we've got to have acceptance for that. Not acceptance of like, I'm going to accept that being there forever, but like, oh, that just happened. Let's work through that.
Acceptance is a big one.
Yeah. And so he came home and I was like, and this is where you can laugh about it. I was like, babe, you got to hear this thought I had. It's so funny. And I told him about it. He's like, babe, that's hilarious. So we just laugh at it now. Because then if it doesn't hold power over you,
exactly,
it no longer is going to hold, literally. It doesn't hold power over you. So I thought that was really cool.
That
like,
cheated
it's a good
on
example.
That cheated on version of me came out too. Like I was cheated on in my first relationship when I was, I don't know, in my early 20s. So that version of me has come out as well.
Yeah.
Not in that way, but in another way. And I'm like, whoa, like same as you, being like, hang on a minute. Yeah, that's just that unhealed version of me that's like just needs some love and attention, but also, just accept that that's the beauty of being in the conscious relationship. I feel like you can both understand those woundings and you can have conversations about them and dive into them. And then when they come up, you're like, oh, that makes sense because we've already spoken about it. You sort of know what I mean? Like you already have an understanding of it because you've spoken about it. You're not putting on a song and dance. It's like, no, we're really like sharing with each other like the darkest part of ourselves, because the more we understand that, the more we can consciously communicate through those times and not have the big blow ups. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And like, it's not about, again, suppressing and avoiding the blow ups, but it's like when they occur, if it's not something we consciously were aware of, it's like coming back to consciousness and awareness faster and holding that space for one another, to the acceptance, like you said, but also come back to the love and come back to that unconditional love. Like, what do they need right now in this moment? And I feel like I don't see how previous relationships could have ever have worked. Obviously they didn't, but like, how could that work? It doesn't work without it. I feel like it's foundational is what I'm getting at. Like, it's so foundational to have someone, first of all, that you're comfortable enough opening up to with those deeper things, which is probably why it felt like a whole pirate's chest of emotions opened up for you when you started dating your gal.
Yep.
Like, having someone you're comfortable enough to do that and trust that they can hold the space for you without sending you off running more. Do you know what I mean? And like, also learning language was a big one for me.
Ooh.
Like, the language of male versus female is very different as well. So like, I'll tell you a funny one actually. This is a really funny one. A couple weeks back, or a month ago, roughly, he was using this word. Hang on, let me think about what it was. He was saying commitment. He was using the word commitment. And it's something he'd learnt in Landmark. So he did personal development as well. So that's the other thing, is the language of communicating through self-awareness, and the language of self-development as well also helps. But he was using like vows. And I was like, what do you mean commitment? We've been committed for 7 years. Like, what are you talking about? Like, you've got a ring for me. We're committed. Like, what are you talking about? And he's like, well, I just want to know that you're committed. And I'm like, I don't think we're speaking the same language here. I was like, so confused. And it literally, Nathan, it took 20 minutes for us to just work through what that word meant for him. And then I was like, oh, you mean vows. And the only reason it clicked is because he goes, well, I'm committed to showing up for you in this way. I'm committed to doing this for you every day. And I'm committed to making you smile every day. That was one of mine. And it actually ended up being a really beautiful process. But it's just like learning the language of male and female, and also like as an individual, what that means for them. Because like, God, that was confusion for 20 minutes. I tell you, I'm like, what does he mean committed? And then I started, that wounded part of me that had been cheated on was like, has he not been committed to me for 7 years? Like,
oh, you went there.
And he was laughing. He's like, babe, that's not what I mean.
Yeah, that's
because he's gone, I'm committed to you now. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, we were always committed. Like, what are you saying? You weren't? Like, I'm so confused. But he meant vows. That's what it meant to me. But to him, what he'd learned through his language is commitment, and not in terms of a committed relationship. He meant what I'm committed to showing up for every day. And
That's
that was
cool.
actually a really beautiful practice. You can take that practice, because what I've found since then is like, it's not about being perfect every day and punishing yourself, shaming yourself when you don't show up those ways, but it's about the commitment to come back to it. And so that's really what he was meaning, is like the commitment to come back to what you've said you're going to commit to, rather than punishing yourself when you stray from it, which is to me vows. But yeah, I thought that was really beautiful.
That is cool.
Yeah.
And that's awesome. You're able to have a beautiful conversation around that, and coming from a place of, no, I'm trying to understand you. So let's just back and forth until we figure it out. That shows a lot of patience as well, doesn't it?
Yeah. Oh yeah, he's taught me a lot about patience. I'm not like,
I'm being
prior
taught
to
a lot
him,
about
I was
patience
so
too.
different. I was not a patient person.
No, no, we're similar there.
Yeah.
I'm being taught, I'm being shown patience in a very loving way right now.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's funny because I do believe, if you feel the same as what I feel about patience, I do believe it's a mirror too. Like the
Oh yeah,
impatience we have with other people can be like an internal impatience as well.
that's true.
Like
Yeah,
when you
I agree with
reflect on
that.
it, it's like, why am I not? How many times have you thought, Nathan, why am I not here yet? Why haven't I gotten to this part yet? Even the relationship thing, why haven't I found the person I'm wanting yet? And then the
Yeah,
psychic's
this.
gone, just work on yourself first. Same patience.
Yeah,
It's a mirror.
I waited nearly 4 years.
Yeah, yeah. So I've actually found that in learning to be patient with others, I've become a lot more patient with myself as well, and had a lot
Yes.
more grace for myself. Relationships are beautiful mirrors for that. Like I know everyone
hmm
says you got to be 100% ready and you've got to learn how to love yourself fully first, but I don't think it has to be fully, because I
No,
think we learn to love ourselves more as the relationships deepen too.
agreed.
Yeah, yeah.
But you need some form of, I
Yes,
feel
of
like you need
course.
some form of self
Yeah,
worth and self love and self acceptance.
yeah. To even be able to find someone on that same frequency where you can have those conversations too, right?
Absolutely. Those conversations are super important, and it's, as I said to you earlier, I don't know how everyday Joe does it, being
Yeah.
not conscious. And it's interesting now listening to look, this might sound a bit. I listen to conversations in the gym. Today was very busy at Jets Perigian Beach today, one of the best Jets gyms on the coast, and it was busy as, like, I was there that same time yesterday. There was no one in there, and then today there was like every Tom, Dick, and Harry seemed to be in the gym at 7:30 this morning. I was like, anyway, listen to this conversation between two young guys talking about their relationship, and I'm like, I'm supposed to hear this, and I'm just doing my bloody lat pull down, and they're going, "Oh, we had a fight last night, and she's da 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 da," and he's like insulting her, being like, "She's been a bitch, being a bitch, being a da 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 da, and it's all my fault," and da da, and it's like. And then the mate's like, is it her time of the month? Is she just like, is she feeling? And they're both having this like this unconscious chat. But this guy probed him and said, oh, is it just her time of the month? And they're both like laughing and giggling. And I'm like, there's no emotional intelligence. I know they're probably about
It's
21, but
just surface level.
it's just
Yeah.
like, clearly it was her time of the month. Clearly she was just looking for him for some safety, for some emotional support. And for me, that came up since being in my relationship. That's come up in the last 6 months too. But like, I've asked those questions, like, what do you like during your cycle? What's your mood like?
Mm.
What are you craving? What do you need? What do you want? Like day one, I was like, what do you need from me when it's your time of the month? It's like, I'd never asked those questions before. And it's like, I really wanted to, I was biting my tongue. I could have said to those guys, like, just ask her what she needs during your time of the month. And you'll find that this time next month, you won't be standing here with your buddy, like pulling your hair out, wondering why she's been a bitch to you. Like,
Highly,
I
highly
really wanted to say
recommended.
it, but I was
Yeah.
like, ugh.
Well, you know what? Just saying it now on this episode is going to be so profound,
Oh, I hope they
because
listen to it.
I will concur strongly, not concur, that's the opposite. I will agree strongly with you, Nathan, that that is like some of the best relationship advice you can give for a man and woman relationship, to learn about your woman's cycle. And it's not just about her, it helps you. It really
Yeah,
does.
it does.
And
Yeah.
like as you were saying that, I was kind of laughing in the background because Nathan, my partner's now used to my cycle, but the way he also knows is I have a color system. I have a color system with our bed sheets and my bath towels. It's hilarious. I
That's
literally
cool.
have 4 different colored towels, and like based on the color towel that's out, he knows where I'm at, and he
Yep.
knows how to respond to me, which is nice. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still learning how to respond. Like,
Yeah.
things are a bit funky last week, and
Yeah.
she was grumpy, and I was sort of like, "Oh, just tell me what do you need? What do you want?" She's like, "I don't know what I want," and it took me like 3 days to figure it out. All she wanted was a hug and just be held. And I'm like, it took me till
Mm.
Saturday afternoon of last week to be able to do that. But it was an awesome lesson and an awesome journey. And yeah, I really wanted to say to those young blokes, why don't you just walk up to her and just give her a hug? That might actually help things. Even something as
Yeah.
simple as that.
But like it sounds like they were pretty young too, and it takes time
It
to
does take
learn
time.
about vulnerability
Yeah.
because that's the hardest part about relationships that, like you were saying before, how are people walking around so unconscious in relationships? But honestly, I know how, and it's because they're going the easier path, the path of least resistance.
Yeah.
It's so much easier to walk around on autopilot. And
It
like you can
is.
apply that to just a human being as well, not just relationships.
Mm-hmm.
It's easier to walk around with the blue pill
It is.
than
Yeah,
take the red
100%.
pill. And
But
it's the same in
that's
relationships.
Yeah, but that's where the rulers, or whether you're the rulers of doom of society, they want you to
Mm,
be on autopilot because then you're easy
exactly.
to control, manipulate, lie to, and steal
Exactly.
from, and that's the world we live in today. But
And then you can bring that back to relationships, and two are greater than one in terms of, banding together as human. That
yeah.
connectedness, do they want that
Hmm.
either? I mean, we can get into
There's
that, but
obviously clearly and there's obviously clearly an agenda at play from
yeah,
those rulers of doom that they want to separate the man and woman and separate the family units. So they put in all this division and all this fear, panic, and terror around it, so
yeah,
that young women of today hate men
yeah.
and young men of today,
Are confused by women.
correct.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We filled in the blanks.
we did.
Yeah.
Yeah,
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 but it's true. And I think it does take a level of vulnerability and courage to be able to step through and do the work to have a conscious relationship.
yep.
Like it's not easy, but
No,
it's rewarding. It's
it
really,
is rewarding, but it's
yeah,
also. I just want to reiterate, it is not easy.
yeah, yeah,
It's not sunshine and
yeah,
rainbows and bloody.
yeah,
Couldn't be further from that.
yeah. So where are you now?
Where am I now?
Yeah,
What do you mean, where am I now?
in your relationship?
Ooh, 6 months in. Well, we're living together, so it's sort of planning what the next 6 months look like, what the next 12 months look like, and having some goals and yeah, things we want to tick off, and yeah.
Yeah,
So it's like putting together a vision board and having some goals and some plans now that we're a bit more settled,
yeah,
and just yeah, and enjoying each other's company in space, and just ride the waves of life, I guess. And
yeah,
yeah, who knows where I'll be in 12 months' time, but that's the most exciting thing. Because
yeah.
this time last year, I said to you, who knows where I'll be in 12 months. So,
Yeah, that's right.
hmm.
Yeah, that's cool.
How about you? Where are you now? I'll ask you the question.
Yeah, so the first thing that came to my mind when you asked that was like commitment, like coming back to that ceremony we did about a month ago.
Mm.
And, he thought it was, I'm committed to this, I'm committed to that. And I said, oh, yeah, that's vows to me. I vowed to do this. And that's really, we're really deep in that right now. That's like the frequency of where I feel we're at right now. And time wise, it makes sense because we're bringing in a new little family member, a puppy.
Oh, I thought you were going
And
somewhere else then.
well, also, yes, that's the other theme is while we're overseas, he got me this ring. We're not very traditional or conformist in terms of having a ceremony and like doing the legal paperwork.
Same.
But this is what it signifies for us. And it's funny because I picked out the ring and then when we actually picked it up, he goes, they're the two bands with a bridge. It's like you and me and we're bridged. And I was like, oh, that's so true. I didn't even think about
Mm.
that. That's so sweet. Like what a
That is cool.
lovely thing for him to kind of pick up on.
Mm.
So yeah, we're very much in that phase of deepening the commitment and the vows that we have for one another. And in a way, I feel like what we did a month ago was kind of our commitment ceremony, but it was obviously just a very private niche one.
Love that.
And yeah, now fast forward to next week on Thursday, we're literally going to be picking up our first pet. I mean, we've had fish before, but this is like the first pet you actually have to keep alive and, take a little more seriously than
Yeah, that's
a
good.
fish.
I like it.
So, and for us, it's kind of like our tester to see how we go with more of a like, obviously it's a dog, but it's a parenting dynamic in
Ah,
that
true.
sense. Because you got to train the dog and make sure it doesn't do naughty things,
Hmm.
and becomes a good dog. So, like for us, that's also a big step for me is like, am I going to be patient? Because that's always my thing. We talked
Mm.
about this earlier. Am I going to be a patient person who doesn't like yell at the dog,
Mm.
And it's like, it's almost like that same lesson that you learn with your partner like how's the reactions going to come out, what's going to happen when the dynamic changes and shifts, because the dynamic changes when you meet someone, and then when you move in with them the dynamic changes again. You're blending two environments together, and then when you bring in another dynamic, whether it's a baby, a dog, a housemate, then the environment shifts again. And so it's like that next level as you keep going. So that's where we're at now.
Sounds very interesting. Sounds like you're on the path for the next step after the pet, huh?
Yeah, maybe. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah. Yeah, and you're settled in now in Maroochydore, settled in now where you are?
Yeah, we're up the sunny coast. We'll have to do a Coolum walk too. Have you done Mount Coolum?
Yeah, done Mount Coolum a few times.
It's nice. Yeah.
It is good, yeah. Mount Ninjari is good too, up here as well, in the Andina way.
Okay.
Yeah, I was want to circle back to something you were talking about with the relationship dynamic, and we were talking about this a lot. Like, there's been times where you were talking about how, the runner, and, circling right back to my journey through that too. Like, I was always the runner. As soon as things would get like, during my era of playing around, sleeping around, like when things got to that point where, okay, she's asking me for the commitment, I would run every time. Yeah. So that version of me has also come up in the last few months as well. Like, a part of me is like, sometimes I'll react and say, oh, well, I'll just go then and I'll see you later. Like, I haven't actually done that, but I've said it. And I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ. But that's the old runner in me, that when things got a little bit tricky and a little bit sticky, that I would just be like, see you later. Like, that's obviously, that's come up for me as well. Because I wrote that down when you said it. I'm like, I want to circle back to that, because I was a Usain Bolt Olympic sprinter. I would run from anything.
Nathan, I ran for a week in our
Really?
second year, in the middle of that real tricky 2-year itch. I ran for a week. I just upped and left, and I didn't come back for a week. And he's just like distraught and had no idea what had happened, because I ghosted him for a week.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but here we are.
Mm.
So that's an example as well.
You said second year itch. What's that?
They call it, it's like, there's a saying called the 2-year itch, which I hadn't heard of until that was happening.
Okay.
And I was like reaching out, getting advice from because his sister, funny enough, I actually met his beautiful sister before I even met him through my best friend. So all these synchronicities before I even met him. And so I was like having chats with his sister, because then I felt like at least she's known him his whole life. They're very close, and like I could get a non-biased opinion. And like, she's like, oh yeah, that's just your 2-year itch. I experienced the same thing with like my partner. And I was like, 2-year itch. And then one of my clients, who I became very good friends with after she was seeing me, was like, yeah, that's just your 2-year itch. And I'm like, what does that mean? And
what is that?
They're like, eventually, when you're with the right person, the 2-year itch is like, it's almost like you're irritating each other. You're activating your wounds in one another, so to speak. Or another way to word it is like that little tickle, but it's like it's where you start projecting your wounds on each other, because it's almost like that relationship was designed to challenge one another and bring out those wounds. So it's like itch, as in like an annoying itch. Like when you think about when you get an itch, you're like, oh, I need to get that, right? You can't help but get it. And that's what that 2-year itch to me referred to, was like all these childhood patterns that came out and reactive patterns that came out were meant to happen with Elliot and I, because it's just what we bring out in one another, but it also helps us move through them and become more and more self-aware. They're meant to happen. Like, and I'm glad they happened. But that's what that 2-year itch refers to, is like that point in the relationship where you feel safe enough to express your shadows, even if it's unconsciously at first, that unconscious reaction. You feel safe enough to express your shadows, and then it all kind of just starts.
Can you have a 4-month itch?
Yeah,
and that was you just summed up my 4th month into this thing. I was reading it. I was like, fuck.
That's what I meant before when I said you'd fast tracked your 2-year itch. You literally had fast tracked it.
Yeah, because literally a month ago, I'm sitting here going, I've already experienced this.
Yeah,
I've already had the 2-year itch, but 4 months in.
Yeah.
There you go.
So yeah, like I totally resonate with what you were saying before about being the bolter as well. Like, it's such a normal flight response. I was thinking of responses. Yeah.
I was flight, 100%. There wasn't fight in me. There was flight. But that's just being aware of it, and also taking that time to breathe and be like, no.
Get the reality, the picture of reality. Yeah. What happened previously and defined your past is not what's defining you right now.
Being told that a few times by some people.
Divine timing then.
Yeah, always, always.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's one more thing I thought to ask actually.
Righto.
What's been the most useful thing you've learnt about being in a relationship with a woman?
Oh, it's a
It's a
useful
good
thing.
one. I haven't even
She'll
thought
listen
about
to
one
this
yet.
too, and I'll get bloody. I'll either get brownies for this or I'll get bloody coal. No, I'm only joking. I believe the most useful thing is that like I've learnt
Yeah.
how to manage the dynamic of the relationship before, during, and after the cycle.
Yeah.
That's like liquid gold for any guy
Yeah.
out there that's listening to this right now. If you can manage the before, the during, and the after, for me, that's been the last couple of months. Is like how can I be of support before, like the week, days before, then during, and then after. That's my biggest takeaway.
And that's liquid gold, like you said. It's like what we covered earlier when we're talking about learn your woman's cycle. It is key. Like, I think it's as foundational as learning how to communicate with one another, which
Yeah.
would have been my answer is like, what's been the most useful thing I've learned about being in a relationship with a man is learning their language.
I
And like you think about masculine and
like
feminine
that.
energies within, and it makes so much sense that what you just expressed, you'd learned, was all tied to the emotional roller coaster of woman. A woman and the feminine is more of the emotional. And then when you think of a masculine, I'm not saying it's not mentally stable or anything, by the way, when I
Nah,
say that
so
I'm a more woman,
yeah,
but it's like we're more emotion body focused. And then with the masculine, it's more mental body focused. So the
yeah.
language matters and the simplicity and clarity matters. And like I can wholeheartedly say that when I am in my luteal phase, that pre-bleed phase, there's no rationale. And
Yeah,
it's
that
chemical
was.
too.
Mm.
It's chemical. My progesterone's kicking in, all my testosterone and estrogen's dropping. So my mental focus is just not there, and I'm dropping right into my emotional body, my heart. It's chemical as well as energetic and emotional. And it goes the same for men. Men run on a different reproductive cycle, different hormones, different chemistry, and it makes their brain sharper and more logical. And I think just learning the language of men and understanding that they literally do speak a different language. And I don't mean like English and French, but like
Emotional language.
literally the emotional language is different.
It
Yeah,
is.
that's perfect, actually. Yeah, the emotional language is very different. Yeah.
Mm.
And having the patience to learn that.
Yeah. And also having the like here's another piece of advice that my mate gave me last week when I was like, Jesus, I don't know if I'm doing this right, managing this before cycle thing. And he said, Nath, you just got to accept the fact that during that before phase and sometimes even during the phase that everything may very well be your fault. You just need to accept that as well.
Hmm. Yeah. You just
Part
take
of
grin
it.
and bear
Part of
it.
the gig.
Grin
Yeah.
and bear it and
Yeah.
like not needing to understand and logify. Like when I say logify, that's not even a word, but
Oh yeah, I'm
make
so
logic.
logical.
Yeah. And so that's like again, understanding the more of the masculine brain, I call it, which is like more of the logical, clear, clarity brain, and then more of the feminine brain, which is where more of the emotions and felt senses are.
Yeah.
Like learning that when the woman's deep in that pre-bleed like phase, the luteal phase, and she's like in her emotions, there's no need to rationale and create logic. And I find if someone's in that pre-bleed phase and they're expressing their emotions, a woman, and the man tries to create logic out of it, there's no like when a man tries to create logic and problem solve the emotions, the woman off goes, I don't need, that's not what I need right now. I just need you to
Yeah.
support it and hold it and bear it. And that's what that whole grinning and bear it, just take it. Just take it
Yep.
all. You don't need to
Yep.
problem solve for her in this moment. Yeah.
It was a beautiful learning experience for me
Yeah.
last week.
Yeah. No, it's very cool learning. Like, I know it's challenging. I know it's a roller coaster and it's not fun, but I kind of enjoy, maybe not during all the time, the process, but I enjoy the process knowing the outcome, knowing
Yeah,
that it leads to greater clarity, greater knowing of your partner, greater understanding of your partner, and therefore more and more unconditional love.
100%. That's a pretty good way to end the chat, I think.
Well, I hope all the listeners got something out of this.
Mm.
We're not expert relationship coaches, but we
No.
certainly have our own personal experiences that we touched on. So,
Yeah, we have our shadow experiences and we have
yeah,
our more lighter experiences, so I can draw back on both.
yeah,
But yeah, if you've listened in from my community and my channel, thank you for listening and watching wherever in the world you are. And whenever this goes up, enjoy the
yeah,
rest of your day or your evening.
yeah. Thank you for your space and time, everyone.